Hey, I hope you had a good weekend and are getting your week started off all right so far. Last week, we dove into what I believe is the central why behind the issues with much of our medical system's approach to migraine management, and my personal why for dropping everything to focus exclusively on helping people overcome their migraines. This week, I want to delve a little bit more deeply into the ways that we can address many of these systemic shortcomings. If your migraine system easily overflows, that sensitivity can feel frustrating, lonely, and often very misunderstood. If you haven't read my previous newsletter and the word overflow here doesn't really make much sense, click here to learn about the migraine bucket framework. Over time, as your brain adapts to repeated migraine activity, it can start to learn the migraine process, making the pattern more frequent and feel even harder to escape. That growing feeling of futility and frustration often deepens when people around you don't fully grasp the gravity of what you're facing, leaving you without clear guidance or companionship on the road to recovery. The good news is that brains can change. With the right inputs, a steady plan, and tactful support, your migraine systems can become less reactive, more resilient, and a lot more forgiving of real life. The first step is to recognize this. No, you're not broken. You're sensitized. This means that your system is just tuned a little bit differently than is ideal right now. Sure, you might have a genetic predisposition or an injury history that makes you more likely to get migraines than the next person, but that does not mean that you have to just lay back and accept that high-frequency, debilitating migraines will be a part of your life forever. Today, we're connecting the dots between migraine science, several parts of the 7 pillars of migraine renaissance, and why sustainable behavior change is the foundation that makes all of this work. Then I'll show you a brief example of what worked with my client, John, and how coaching and community support can make the harder parts more doable so this actually sticks. First, before we dive in, if you know anyone who could use some help with migraines, please consider sharing this with them. I really think it could change their life. From why it hurts to what actually helps. Let's start with a quick recap tour of what's happening behind the scenes during the migraine cascade. Certain areas of the brain develop a sort of instability, and they have a harder time regulating their activity for a variety of reasons. When they're in this state, they have a lower threshold of reactivity, and they can get stimulated by triggers. This can cause them to erupt into a slow, wave-like storm of neurological activity called cortical spreading depression, or subcortical spreading depression if it's deeper inside the brain. This can sweep across different parts of the migraine-susceptible brain, disrupting normal brain communication, increasing sensitivity in some areas, and decreasing activity in others. When this hits the brainstem, it can kick off the trigeminal vascular system. The trigeminal nerve is the main sensory nerve of the face and much of the head, and it's the center of a lot of the migraine process. That switch getting flipped in this nerve causes it to release inflammatory messengers, such as CGRP and PACAP38, for example, dilates the blood vessels and the protective coating around your brain, that's the dura mater and the meninges, and winds up the nerve sensitivity here as well as in the brain and brainstem. Repetition of this sequence of events kind of primes the system to fire sooner next time, that's sensitization, and rewires the system to get better at having migraines through neuroplasticity. That's why small stuff can start to feel big and more problematic. So what's at the core of unwinding this process? Supporting stability in the brain's cellular energy production, managing any chronic low-grade inflammation, improving heart and blood vessel health, managing allostatic load or the various stressors that we face on a daily basis, more on this coming soon, reconnecting brain regions that need to work better together, yes, also through neuroplasticity, and promote top-down neurological pain control. Delivered consistently enough, this allows our brains to create new defaults and enhance the ability of the brain to regulate itself and reduce susceptibility to these migraine processes. Those inputs live inside the 7 pillars: movement, sleep, nutrition, stress regulation, neck, jaw, shoulder care, smart trigger tracking, and holding it all together is sustainable behavior change and community. We use the migraine bucket framework to simplify and organize our migraine fighting efforts even further. Think of your trigeminal system as a bucket. Triggers pour water in. The size represents your resilience, and overflow represents the migraine kicking off. Trigger management prevents water from getting into your bucket, and resilience building practices make the bucket bigger. The secret here is that really effective migraine recovery isn't just about avoiding all of the potential triggers of life forever, and it definitely isn't just about managing migraine pain when it's already hit you full force in the face. The magic of migraine renaissance is found in the strategic process of rebuilding resilience. How the 7 pillars plug into the science in plain English. Pillar 1 is efficient, effective exercise. Right dose movement boosts BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and that's your brain's primary grow and connect signaling protein. It boosts mitochondrial health, the parts of our cells that produce energy, steadies blood sugar swings, improves blood vessel health, and raises the threshold for that migraine-triggering cascade over time. We program brain-friendly, individualized progressions so that exercise prevents attacks instead of triggering them. Pillar 2 is sleep optimization. Sleep sits at the center of most human health systems. The areas of the brain responsible for your sleep patterns are also critically integrated into the migraine process. Consistent circadian rhythm patterns promote improved brain stability and full body health. Strategic support systems stabilize the way that you're able to make the most of your sleep and turn it into a migraine-fighting tool instead of a migraine-triggering burden. Pillar number 3 is nutrition and hydration. We're aiming for steady energy production. Brain cells love this. We need adequate protein, fiber, healthy fats like omega-3s, complex carbohydrates, and sometimes evidence-backed supplements, while keeping an eye out for your personal food tolerances. Some foods are extra special and come with substances called phytochemicals, which are often the colorful stuff like the blue in blueberries. These can help a ton with fighting oxidative stress, which plays a major role in disrupting brain energy production and provoking the migraine process. Pillar 4 is stress and nervous system resilience. Stress, or allostatic load management, plays a major role in stabilizing the migraine-susceptible brain. Not all stress is bad, but poor regulation of life stressors can be one of the most prominent triggers for migraines. Self-regulation strategies such as breath work and mindfulness practices increase vagal tone, basically increase the activity of our rest and digest systems, manage stress hormone levels, and calm the always-on threat circuitry that lowers migraine-triggering thresholds. Pillar 5 is neck, jaw, and shoulder pain management. Sometimes I also throw the specific migraine pain management in here too. Because of the neurological connections between the trigeminal nerve and the upper parts of the neck, also known as cervico-trigeminal convergence, local irritation can frequently directly provoke the already sensitized trigeminal-vascular system. We create personalized strategies for managing pain, then we rebuild load tolerance, mobility, and resilience so that daily life stops poking the bear all the time. Pillar 6 is trigger tracking and navigation with the migraine metric system. Effectively identifying triggers is a critical first step for helping to manage your exposure to them. We move beyond vague diaries to strategic, efficient pattern recognition that guides decisions, basically what to remove, what to add, and when. Pillar 7 is sustainable behavior change and community. This is the foundation and the glue that holds it all together. Without a system to install and maintain habits, even the best plans with all the right intentions fail. We use neuroscience and behavioral science-backed tools, personal preferences, accountability, and group support so changes actually stick. Remember, information alone won't change your brain. Repeated, right-sized actions do. The 7 pillars provide the structure to figure out the what, the migraine bucket framework provides the why, and behavior science-backed expert coaching and proven systems provide the how it actually shows up in your week. Let's talk about a client snapshot. John had 12 to 15 migraine days per month, felt scared of exercise, and had tried all the things for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. Nothing ever seemed to stick. We started with 4 main levers for about 8 weeks. A 10 to 15 minute zone 2 walk most days, pillar 1 to 4. A simple meal focus, protein and fiber and color goals for 2 of his 3 meals, focused on pillar 3. A 5-minute long exhale practice after lunch for a stress downshift, which is pillar 4. and 1 gentle neck routine for pain. That's pillar 5. We eventually found that his migraine metrics flagged poor sleep after late night screens, so we ended up adding a 60-minute wind down reminder, which is pillar 2. At 10 weeks, John averaged about 6 migraine days per month, faster recovery, and felt confident enough to begin light strength work. The magic wasn't one hack, it was fewer high-value things done consistently, with my support along the way, which is pillar 7. Let's talk about 3 actionable steps for this week. Number 1 is breath work and a walking habit anchored to something you're already doing. After lunch, try 5 minutes of slow breathing with an easy inhale and a longer exhale, then a 10 to 15 minute brisk walk. This connects pillars 1, 3, and 4 all in one micro routine, and having anchored can help a lot. Number 2 would be a plate check. First, look for protein, fiber, and color. These are the first 3 of the big 5. If one is missing, add a small fix. That could be berries, beans, a pack of frozen veggies, or a protein add-on. Those would be targeting pillar 3. And the third option could be setting a sleep boundary. Pick one. Either no screens 60 minutes before bed, or the same wake-up time every day. That's addressing pillar 2. Sometimes small boundaries equal big payouts. You might be surprised at how impactful these 3 things can be. This newsletter actually pairs up with one of my newest podcast episodes, breaking down some of the science above in an approachable way, a little bit deeper, and starts to uncover the remarkably impactful connections between several of the 7 pillars of migraine renaissance. Ranging from exercise to weight loss to oral health, there's a lot of valuable nuggets in this one. Hit play to watch the deeper dive into the remarkable world of building your migraine bucket. Now, I want to talk a little bit more specifically about why coaching and community make this easier and faster. Change is a skill, not a personality trait. It simply takes clarity on the most valuable steps to take, deep connection to your personal why, the right supportive systems, and intentional repetition over time. In studies investigating effective behavior change interventions, we see that across the board, people do better with structured, personalized guidance and community support rather than going at it alone. On my side, I operationalize that with a consistent Monday cadence, a predictable format, approachable language, and clear actionable information so you always have as much clarity and evidence-backed direction as you need. I also want to mention how you can work with me. If you're ready for more support and an expert guide who has been through this and that will actually walk the path to recovery with you, I have 2 routes you can take. The first is the 8-week MoveWell's Migraine Foundations program. It's group-based and is coming soon. And the MoveWell's Migraine Unlimited one-to-one coaching for deeper, highly personalized work. Whatever you choose, I'm here to support you. Lastly, don't let this condition rule your life. I like the saying, one day is a wish, day one is a decision. When you take action, it likely won't be perfect, but that is okay. It really doesn't need to be. The progress you want to see takes the accumulation of actions that build over time. Before you go, one quick question. Which single pillar will you emphasize this week, and what's the smallest action that supports it? Hit reply. I really do read every single message. Until next time, I'm your host, Dr. Dylan Wells. Talk to you next Monday.